Well, businesses and the public can now comment on the Department of Labour's draft regulations on employing foreign nationals. The regulations are aimed mainly at giving businesses guidance on managing the transfer of skills once foreign nationals have been employed. Joining us from the Department of Labour is Martin Ratshivanda. He's in Pretoria for us this morning. Martin, good morning and thanks for your time. What do the current rules actually say about the employment of foreign nationals?
Well, thank you, Iveka, and thank you greetings to our viewers at home. Let me start by indicating upfront that the regulations we are just about to talk about are part of the 4 regulations that the Minister of Labour published for public comment on the 28th of December. Now, coming to your question, these regulations, particularly the ones on the employment of foreign nationals, are meant to facilitate the employment of foreign nationals, and I must say again, only in instances where the skills required by employers are unavailable in the country. This is meant to give effect to Section 8 of the Employment Services Act and Regulation 18 and 20 of the Immigration Act. What Section 8 of the Employment Services Act says is that the employer must first of all, before procuring the services of foreign national, diligently search and scrutinize the local labour market to ensure that that skill is not available. The same thing is repeated again, as I said, in the immigration regulations, that the employer must diligently search the local labour market. Now, what we're proposing in these regulations is that one thing that the applicant employer must forward to the Department of Labour when applying for a work visa or a corporate visa is that they must attach a proof of a copy of an advertisement where that job was advertised. It must not be more than 4 months old. It must also indicate the media where that advert appeared, or the website where it indicated. It must also reflect the kind of job offers or duties that are required or inherent in that job. What we do from our side as the Department of Labour is that we will first of all check from our registered database of work seekers. We, as per the legislation, register all work seekers. So we have a database of work seekers that also reflects the skills and experience and qualifications that they have. So what we then do from our side is to verify from this database if that skill is available in the country. Okay. If not, we also verify from the private employment agencies. It is only in instances where that skill will not be available both from our database and the databases of our private employment agencies that would make a recommendation to Home Affairs that that applicant employer should be allowed to employ a foreign national.
Martin, what
I must also add,
Martin, what would you say to critics who might say that this borders on, discrimination, possibly xenophobia? What would be your response to that you would not give foreign nationals an equal opportunity at these jobs?
This practice is in terms of the ILO conventions. It's a practice all over the world that countries, before they can employ a foreign national, they must first of all exhaust the local labour market. They must first of all ensure that the skill that the employer wants to import into the country is a skill that is not available in the country. Otherwise, this is going to lead to the displacement of our local workers and would actually block our unemployed work seekers for entry into the labour market. So this is not xenophobic. It's an international and standard practice all over the world.
So you say that they must prove that they've properly advertised this, made sure that there's no South African who qualifies for this job. How would you know? How would you know about, in the interview process, who came forward and whether, companies would say to you that this is somebody, there was no South African that was right for the job?
That's a wonderful question. What we do is that one of the requirements is that they must also send to us the interview and selection notes of all the candidates that they shortlisted and all the candidates that they interviewed, together with the CVs of all the shortlisted candidates and the preferred candidate. What we would do ourselves is that we will compare the CVs, these CVs, particularly the CV of the preferred a candidate who is a foreign national with the CVs of all the candidates that we had referred to this employer, if indeed this preferred candidate who is a foreign national has the better qualification, skills and experience, better than the ones that we had referred to the employer, certainly would advise Home Affairs to employ, to provide, to give, allow this employer to employ a foreign national.
What are we actually hoping to achieve with this, Martin? I mean, obviously, our unemployment rate, our very own, what's happening to South Africans, is our top priority, is our main concern. Do we see that rules like this will go a long way towards easing our own unemployment situation here? Will it really make that big a dent?
It will, certainly. Because, number one, we acknowledge the fact that there are instances where employers would require skills that we do not have in the local labour market. Now, through this exercise, all that we're trying to do is that we want to invite, this is an appeal to employers for them to actively participate in the skills revolution in the country. What would happen is that when the employer applies or sends documents to us, one of the things that the employers would have to do is to send to us a skills transfer plan, meaning that in the duration of that work permit or work visa, the employer must prove to us as to how he or she is going to ensure that that skill that he or she has imported into the country will be transferred to the local unemployed youth into the country. So that way would contribute to the skills, to increase the skills base that we have in the country and ensure that the unemployed work seekers that we have in the country, the percentages and numbers of which are growing by day, are able to access the labour market. Gone are the days when our employers should only stay in the periphery and comment on the mismatch of skills that our youth have. We are inviting, this is an invitation to employers for them to actively participate in building on the skills base of our youth, so that the supply side of the labour market matches perfectly the demand side of the labour market.
Thanks very much for that explanation. That's the Department of Labour's Martin Ratshivanda. He's in Pretoria for us this morning, just explaining that call for employers, businesses to come forward and comment on this draft regulations for employment of foreign nationals. And partner, let's go back now